I acquired this Tandy 1000 SX way back in like the last half of March. And at the same sale, I got some other neat Tandy related toys, fully with the plan of making them wait until Septandy. And now Septandy is here. So every time I walked by, especially this on the shelf, your time is coming, my friend. Your time is coming. Your time is here. I have not even plugged this computer in. I have never tried to turn it on. I have no idea if it works. I took a quick peek inside and it's really dirty, so it's going to need a lot of cleaning. My hope is to get it working, and I have 3 upgrades that I'm planning for it. 2 of them are sort of obvious upgrades for computers of this vintage, and the other is it's kind of special. If I can't get this working, I have a fallback of I have a Tandy 1000 HX, which I have had for probably since 2018, maybe. I've had for quite a long time. I know it works. I've used it a bunch of times, and this monitor actually came with the HX. I just got this as the computer and the keyboard. And when I was looking around, I found the keyboard first, and I was like, "Oh, that's special. I know what that is." And then later stumbled across the computer. So something is going to happen in that we are going to have computing. Computing will happen in this video. At the same time, I also have a software project in the works that will be ready hopefully later on in the month, specifically for the Tandy 1000 line. But I'm gonna wait on that. That's more on that later. So I think let's just open this thing up, take a look inside, turn it on, and see what's going on with it.
Tales of Weird Stuff Presents. Tandy 1000 SX.
Like I said in the intro, I haven't tried to turn this on yet, and I opened it briefly back in March when I brought it home to just look inside, mostly looking for a leaking battery, and I don't believe that there was one. I don't think that these had those kinds of batteries at that time. At least that's my recollection. Hopefully, I won't open this and be very, very, very sad. It's filthy. The Tandy logo on the top is faded out. You can barely tell it's there. I don't know if it'll show up at all on the camera. I can't really see it on my screen here. Mostly what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at this to see how terrible it looks inside. And see if there's anything in here that makes me not want to yay for dust. Makes me think that I should not turn it on yet. And aside from it being super dusty, I don't see anything in here that causes me concern particularly. I think I will take this off just so that I can look underneath and make sure. And it appears I put all of my tools away, so I have nothing out. So let's. I'm gonna take these screws out really quickly, and then should be able to get this out and look underneath, make sure there's nothing sketchy happening underneath. Come on, that screw really does not want to. And this is kind of in the way. All right, where's my other toolkit? Because I have a more appropriate tool for this in there. I just went for the thing that was easier to reach. Is that this size? Yes. Okay. When the screws are really stuck in like that, especially if I'm going to have to take this serial card out to get at the other one. I find that if you have a nut driver, that it works a little bit better than a screwdriver. It grips better. It has more surface area to contact with, and I feel like none of these screws that are in here are the appropriate Tandy screws. And oh, is that? Oh, second. Okay, that just budged a little bit. I was wondering if maybe that was disconnected. I will for sure take this outside and hit it with my air compressor before trying to turn it on, because it's really nasty in here. Oh, interesting. So I think one of the upgrades that I was planning to do, one of the weird things I was planning to do, I don't need to do. That's actually a little bit disappointing, because I believe this is an 8087 socket, and that is probably a jumper to select whether or not it is installed. Folks who watched my Medford road trip pickups video may remember I got a couple of weird boards in that lot that they would go into an 8088 socket. You would put the CPU in that board, and then it also had a socket and some other glue logic for an 8087. So you could upgrade to an 8087 on a system that didn't have a socket for it. This is not wanting to let go. Where else is it still? Because those are just the drive screws. Why? Where else is this? Oh, there's one more over here. Which you could probably see from this top-down view over here. Oh no, actually you can't because of perspective. One more screw is hiding over here. Anyway, so I may have to do another video with the 1000HX to try out one of those upgrades, because I'm pretty sure those don't. Oh boy, there is not a lot of cable tolerance here. Okay, so we'll just set that over like that. Okay, yeah, other than complete and utter filth, this looks fine. So probably what I will do is I'm going to take this and I will blow this out just to get all the dust out. I'll do that outside, and I'll try, especially focus on blowing out the power supply. But I suspect that before I call this, oh yeah, look at that. Before I call this project done, I'm going to take this motherboard out and just completely wash it and get it fully clean, because I believe it will take that to get it actually clean. I don't think I need to do that before trying to power it on or anything. So I'm not going to, because as soon as you get something like this wet, you're signing up for, I mean, the way that I do it, I will usually prop it up with a fan blowing on it for a couple of days. I will also pull out I know some people don't pull out all the socketed chips. I like to. It makes me feel more comfortable. Although some of these PLCCs, I may rethink this. All right, I'm gonna see how this looks after I get some compressed air on it to see how it looks after I do that. I don't like to pull PLCCs out of sockets like this if I don't have to, because these kinds of sockets, it's really easy to damage the socket, and then you're signed up for a lot of pain. At the same time, it's also easy for moisture to hide underneath there, and it's not, with this, you can get some air circulation around, but with kind of PLCC sockets, it's not really possible for the air to circulate around it, to actually get it dry in there. So I think Wow, that is a weird. These are definitely not the screws that came in this. And these have one thing that I find very annoying about this whole model, this whole line, is the slot covers. I'll go ahead and pull it out here while I've got this here. The slot covers are weird. They are not regular slot covers. So they're shaped different, right? They're not just, so a regular slot cover would be just straight, and these are shaped different. They're a different length. They're much shorter, and they have a very particular angle of this. I think I have some slot covers that I may have gotten at the same time that I got this that might work to cover those other slots. I'm very paranoid about having large entryways into computers for rodents. Folks who saw my SparkStation 10 video, whenever that was, that I think that motherboard is completely ruined because there was mice living inside that computer for a while. So I'm super paranoid about this. I want to cover all the entryways that a rodent could potentially get in, just out of paranoia. All right, I'm gonna go use the air compressor and clean this thing out. And when I come back, it'll probably be a different camera angle because I'm gonna at least turn it on and see if there are any signs of life. Okay, so between when I clicked stop and before I even went out to the garage, where I still have not been yet, I decided to take off this back plastic cover because there's a grill on it that kind of covers the fan, the power supply fan. So I decided to take that off, and yeah, it's a little bit dirty in there. I think that's what we technically refer to as nasty. Now, so I'm going to try to show, I don't know if my camera will refocus on this properly because my camera is stupid. So yeah, that is a super, super dirty fan. Now, one thing I will say about blowing out fans is, especially with, not so much with the canned air, but with an air compressor, you can burn out a fan by blasting air through it. So when you're going to do that, what I do is I just put a screwdriver through so that the fan won't spin, so that you can blast the air in there, but the fan won't spin and burn out the bearings. And in years gone by, I have ruined fans like that. So learn from my mistakes. But don't worry, I'll keep making new ones. Okay, now for real, I'm gonna go clean this filthy thing out. Okay. Before I try to turn it on, I just wanted to show off how much better it looks after hitting it with the compressed air. There was a layer of filth on here that was practically thick enough to plant potatoes in. And that looks, I'm still gonna, wash this in the sink with mild soapy water. But I don't know if I'm gonna wash this out or not now. One thing I did notice while I was giving it compressed air is this has probably had some repairs done on it before, because I noticed down here there is a mixture of, let's see if I can rotate like this so that the light gets in there better. There's a mixture, I will zoom in. There's a mixture in here of Samsung RAM chips and Sanyo RAM chips. And even the Samsung, there's a mixture of 120 nanosecond and 150 nanosecond. And it is possible that it could have come from the factory like that, but it feels low probability to me. So I suspect this has had some repair done on it in the past. That's not terribly surprising. The estate sale where I got this, the guy had... he used to own a shop that was a computer repair store and trophy store. So we would make trophies for the Little League teams or for, whatever. For whatever. He made trophies and fixed computers. So, yeah, I suspect that he had already done some repairs on this. So who knows if this is working? Let's find out. I'm not really excited about this setup right here, but I think given the limitations of my current 2-camera setup, I think this is the best that I can do, and be able to see the computer in case anything spectacular happens when I turn it on, and be able to see the screen because I'd like to be able to see that. And I guess I should figure out where I put the keyboard because I'll probably need to have that plugged in when I turn it on. Where the heck did I put that? Okay, so the keyboard won't be able to be on camera just because limits. Let's see. According to the front panel, this is the keyboard port over here, and the other two are joysticks. Oh, and they're different. Okay. All right, so this should be hooked up, and this is the nice ultra filthy keyboard. This has not received the cleaning. All the plastic parts are going to get washed in the sink. Ugh, I feel kind of gross even having this thing touch me. All right, let's see what happens here. So what's weird is so something funky is happening here. Is this monitor not? Oh, there we go. I was like, it looks really flickery on the camera and in real life too. All right, well, it just boots right up. Huh. I love it when a plan comes together. I guess now I will reinstall the drives. I'll hit them with a cleaning disc, and then I'll try again, see if it actually boots, see if the drives work. Wow, this might be there must be some lurking disaster, and it's just trying to reel me in. A little closer, and then we'll have a reefa cap explode in your face. After putting everything back together, I found a cleaning disc. Ironically, a Radio Shack cleaning disc, so it's the correct version for the system. And I found a disc that I think this was a boot disc from. I used to have a 1000EX, which is a similar kind of all-in-one form factor as the HX, but it has 5 1/4 drives, and I think this was a disc that I had used to boot on that. I could not find any DOS 5 1/4 inch floppy discs, like DOS install discs. I have tons of that kind of stuff, but I was not able to find it. So I found this. Hopefully that is a bootable disc, and so we can test this out and see if it will boot up. On the monitor. Fingers crossed. Turn on the system. Memory size 640K. Disk activity. Oh, it's just it seeking the disks. Thinks it's reading. Great success! All right, DOS 211. Okay, so now I can actually see if this keyboard does anything. Oh, well, the enter key works. All right, so keys look like they do things. So that is terrific. That is terrifical. It does not like bad command or file name. Okay. All right. It seems to be making some kind of a high-pitched noise, though. I wonder if that's coming out of the power supply. It's not the monitor. Is it the speaker? Oh, it was the speaker. The speaker was making a very disagreeable sound. I may leave that unplugged for now because that was very annoying. That was very annoying. Okay, well the plan is now. All right, I'm gonna do some upgrades to this thing and see if I can make it into a cool kid. Let's go through. I have a pile here. So first off, I'm gonna put back in this card, which is a serial parallel parallel game port card. Now, the 1000 has 2 game ports of its own on the front, but they require the weird Tandy joysticks with the round connector, and they're kind of a hassle. I haven't figured out from these jumper settings if this game port is even enabled. It might be disabled. Hard to say because this is from before people would silkscreen onto their devices what the jumper settings were. Predictably, the XT IDE card that I soldered when I was at VCF East, and then now so the thing that I already talked about is I'm going to this won't be able to fit on here. It would have to be oriented about like so. And that isn't going to work, so I'm just going to pull the 8087 out of here and install it on the motherboard. Do it the easy way. I have another card like this somewhere that I got at the same time that I got this card, and I spent about an hour looking for it, and I cannot find it. So I may either have to pull the 8087 back out of this when I want to test this, or get another one, or something. And then I'm gonna install. I have 2 of these, but I'm gonna install one. Hopefully, one of them will work. But you say, Ian, that's a 16-bit ISA card, and these are only 8-bit ISA slots. What are you thinking? Well, these network adapters were pretty cool. They are the Intel 8/16 LAN adapters. They will work in an 8-bit slot. And there's actually even a way, if you put them in a 16-bit slot, that you can force them to operate in 8-bit mode, some kind of configuration in the drivers. These are well-used cards. A lot of people use them to populate this this ROM socket with an XT IDE BIOS so that you don't have to build one of these cards. I may eventually end up doing that and just getting some kind of... I guess I wouldn't have... So I guess that only works on systems that maybe have... Excuse me. There is still a little bit of dust. They have some other kind of IDE controller because it lets you use larger drives. And I think... Oh, there was one other upgrade. The other kind of predictable upgrade that a lot of people do is I bought these 2 V20 processors from my friend over at Geek with Social Skills. So I've got 2 of them. I can potentially upgrade something else. But one of these is going to go in here with the math coprocessor. So I'm going to do it in the order of XT IDE first, so that I can get a reasonable DOS setup on this and not be booting from floppy disks. And I'll get some software on so I can do like some before-after benchmarks, do the CPU, FPU stuff, and then do the network card. That's probably going to be the most effort, although reading online, it doesn't seem like it's going to be, like even that is going to be too arduous. And the good benefit of that is it'll fill in a lot of those slots, so I won't have to worry about any little varmints getting in here. Since I've got the Yosemite Sam mustache going on. All right, well let's just get right to it. Go ahead and I'll put this in. So I'm gonna. Most of the real work is gonna happen off camera because I will have to go searching for one of my. I like to use. I don't really like to use compact flash cards. I find them to be kind of a pain. I much prefer to use SD card to IDE adapters, and I've got a bunch of them I've got to find them. Get one of those, get it all set up. It's going to be a lot of majorly boring stuff that I am going to do off camera. So all these upgrades, this will be perfect because I had one slot cover. These 2 slots will be covered with this. This slot, I think this is the only slot where I can put this in where something won't be interfering. I'm going to put a little electrical tape over this to keep it from shorting out against the inside of the case in here. It's not super easy to see, but I don't want it to short out on that or against any of these chip sockets or anything. I'll probably go ahead and put that in straight away. So all the slots will be covered. Excellent. All right, I'm going to vanish off camera and do a bunch of stuff now. It has been a few days since the last bits that I was recording, and there have been some adventures. Surprise! I'm going to get back to what the state of the machine is currently. Things have not gone super smoothly. In the meantime, I want to talk about the adventure that I had getting this set up so that I could actually boot on something, because I had nothing I had that one floppy disk that I could boot from. I actually found another floppy disk that I could boot from. So I had 2 floppies that I could boot from, but neither one of them had F-disk or format on it. They were just bootable disks with other stuff. So I couldn't do anything. So I had to configure this from nothingness. And I had tried a couple things of set up this disk on a Linux machine and then put some software on it so that I could create disks, but that didn't seem to work right to create bootable disks. So finally what I did is I ended up just completely setting this up as a bootable hard drive on Linux, and that took a bunch of steps that were some fun incantations. It requires a couple pieces of software. Now, I did all this on Linux. As far as I'm aware, all of this software exists for Windows, and you should be able to do roughly the same stuff there. The exact procedure may be different. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that, though. So from the Box project, which is a PC emulator, there is a program called BXImage, and BXImage is what we're going to use. And I have to remember exactly how I invoked it before. Is what we're going to use to create the initial disk image. You probably could. I don't know how to just start it by directly operating on this. So it's going to go in a couple of steps. We're going to create a file that represents the disk image, install DOS into that, kind of like making an ISO image, and then dump that image onto this physical medium. And then it all should just go from there. So the first step is using this program to create the image. One thing that kind of annoys me about it is you have to tell it a size. And what I wanted to tell it was the exact disk geometry parameters that I wanted. You tell it a size fixed in numbers of megabytes, and then it will tell you the disk geometry. It's not what I wanted, but you get what you get. So you do pximage -hd equals, and then the size, I want to say I don't know, for right now we'll do 504, and then so create a new floppy or hard disk image. Hard disk, you want flat. You want to take all of the defaults, and then boom, it's done. Now the important thing that it tells you here is this disk geometry. The next thing that after creating the drive image, the next thing to do is run DOSBox, and from within DOSBox, there is a special command. Let me drag this over here so it's visible. That we'll use to mount that file and make it appear as a drive. Now, this command is called image mount. Since we're mounting a raw disk image, you have to tell it the BIOS drive letter, and in the case of the IDE master, that is going to be 2, and then tell it in quotes, that's important, the location on the local file system, on the host file system of where the drive is. Tell it the type. In this case, it's an HDD. You can also have it be a floppy drive if you're mounting a floppy image. If you're mounting a floppy image, then you would tell it a drive letter like A or B or something like this. File system is none because it's a raw disk image. And then the important part is the drive parameters. Now, one place where I have gotten tripped up and where it gives completely obtuse error messages is it's tempting to say put equal signs in some of these, because that is how a lot of utilities work, but it will make you sad. So these parameters here are just the parameters that BXImage said that was the drive geometry for the image that it created, and so then this should work. Now, the next part is to boot from your DOS disk images. So in this case, I've got 1.img. Now I'm going to give it a list of these, and that makes it so that you can swap disks at certain points in the installation. DOS is going to ask you, install the next image, so you can hit Control F4 to switch the disk image, and it does it kind of in a cycle, and then hit enter in the DOS installer and go about your way. So then it's going to boot up into DOS. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's fairly tedious. You have to go through it a couple of times, because this first time it's going to go through, it's going to set up the disk, it's going to reboot, and you have to do all the image mount and the boot. I have to do all that stuff over again. You end up having to do it, I think, 2 or 3 times, but then it's just a DOS install, and it goes pretty quickly. All right, so that's that part. Now let's talk about what's going on with this. DOS is all installed. I'm able to boot from it. Everything seems happy in the Mushroom Kingdom, except in the way that it's not. And this is what's kind of derailed everything. On this hard drive, I've got a couple versions of Checkit, because Checkit 2.1 specifically says it is not compatible with Tandy machines, any of the 1000s or the 2000, which the 2000 is weird, so that's fine, but okay. So anyway, Checkit 3 doesn't say that it has that problem, but it will not load, and there are a bunch of other weird problems, so there is some hardware malfunction. So you can sometimes see it by, if you can pretty easily get to it. Okay, yeah, so on this boot up, it's, okay, so it'll load autoexec.bat, okay, so then I'll exit. And of course it's gonna work now that it's on camera. All right, so let's oops, it's hard to, right, so let's try it again. Load. Okay, so it's just gonna work. All right, well then I'm gonna push my luck and try loading Checkit. Normally what has happened a bunch of the times previously is after exiting from edit one of those times, there will be some sort of an error where it will say that it can't load command.com or something like that, and the system will just tank. So let's see if it can load Checkit. So I'm believing that there is some kind of a hardware fault, and yet it does not appear to be loading, because it shouldn't take this long to get up to anything. There's some kind of a hardware fault. The way some of the other programs were running, I had managed to install the network card and try running the configuration software on it, and it would kind of run ish, and then sometimes it would crash and have other problems. I am believing that there is a RAM problem, and the hodgepodge combination of memory chips on here is the main thing that's making me suspicious of that. So I think I'm going to split this. I'm going to basically end this video here, which makes me super sad because it started off so great, and I thought, oh yeah, we're gonna have great success. No. I'm going to do some additional troubleshooting on it, see if I can get all of the rest of this working. I'm going to find my Retro Chip Tester Pro, and I'm going to pull all those RAM chips out. And honestly, I'll probably pull out anything that's socketed on here and try to test it on that and see if I can discover any bad chips or anything. See if I can figure out what's going on with this. This is definitely to be continued. I have another TRS-80 Model 4 related project that is also in progress that I'm wanting to get out this Septandy. We'll see. So hopefully this won't be too horrible of a battle. And I have the software project, which I kind of need. Well, I have the HX, so I can, in a pinch, I can use the HX. It'll just be super irritating. For the software project. If you are interested in seeing any of these other Septandy adventures, I strongly encourage you to subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed this, please click the like button. If you have any suggestions, if you've encountered other weird problems like this with Tandy 1000 SXs, please let me know in the comments below. And until next time, try to remember the good stuff.